Let us get to the welterweight main event now, where we got Gilbert Dorino Burns coming in at plus 285, going up against proper Mike Malott, who comes in at minus 350. Now, Burns is going to be looking to buck a 4-fight losing streak this weekend, although all those losses are coming against high-level opponents like eventual champion Bilal Muhammad, eventual champion Jack Della Maddalena, high-level prospect or high-level contender Sean Brady, and then most recent knockout loss to Michael Morales. It seems like the 39-year-old's age is really starting to catch up to him. He's not able to eat damage like he used to in the past. His gas tank is obviously a big-time issue for him as well. Coming into the UFC mainly as a BJJ specialist, he really rounded out his striking game under Henry Hooft's tutelage, and that allowed him to become a nasty striker, big power in his hands, nasty leg kicks of his own as well. But that's getting harder and harder for him to implement as he gets older in age and as he fights stiffer competition. His last win was against Jorge Masvidal, right? That was a very shot Masvidal, a guy that was really just in it for the money at that point in time, and Burns was able to implement his game without too much issue. When Burns is on, he's a tough guy, but I really think he's kind of fizzled out, and I think that's why we find Mike Malott as such a big favorite this weekend. Now, Malott looking to build upon his 3-fight winning streak now after that lone UFC loss that he suffered at the hands of Neil Magny. That was a fight where he was, 30 seconds away from winning a decision, 15 seconds away from winning the decision, but his gas tank cost him, and Magny was able to muster up a TKO late in that fight to get the win. Malott returned with a decision victory over Trevin Jones, showcasing a little bit more of a a little bit more of a disciplined approach where he mixed in his striking with his grappling and really picked Giles apart. Then he followed up with a big second-round knockout victory over Charles Radke in a very good performance where we saw a mix of the aggression that we've come to know from Mike Malott, but also that discipline to help keep him safe. Then he was able to get that win over Kevin Holland, I believe, back in October. But that was a weird one, right? Competitive first round. Then we saw Malott land that nasty knee to the groin of Holland at the ending of the first round that clearly compromised Holland for the rest of the fight. Holland was still throwing, but he was constantly backpedaling, allowing Malott to dictate the pace and land big enough shots of his own for the judges to score that fight in his favor. So I'm kind of, clearing that Holland fight from my memory because I really don't think Holland was fully capable with all of his facilities for the rest of that fight because of how much damage he took from the groin shot. So this weekend is a big time opportunity for him, right? He's a guy that I've been following for a long time. Way back in the day, I kept hearing about this kid who was from Ontario but was training in the Maritimes, racking up a decent record. He actually fought on a promotion that I was the logistics manager for, SCC Combat, way back in the day. He demolished his opponent in like a minute and a half. Ultimately, he joined WSOF, got knocked out by Hakeem Dawadu, and then he kind of just fizzled away. He moved to Sacramento, became one of the coaches over there at Team Alpha Male, and then he slowly got the fire back and came back and started competing, and that eventually led to him getting back to the Contender Series, getting the big win there over Shimon Smoritsky. Forgot what the guy's name is, some Jewish guy. But then Malott got to the UFC, and he seems like he's trying to carry the Canadian flag now and try to be the next big guy. He's 34 years old. But I got to say, I don't know if he's going to get to a championship level. He's gotten to the main event level, right? He has enough fanfare in the Canadian scene to deserve that. But, just as a pure MMA fan, I'm kind of skeptical about this level of main event. Regardless, nasty Muay Thai, high-level BJJ black belt as well. This should be a fun battle against Gilbert Burns. I understand why the love is coming in on Burns, though. We're seeing Malott go from about minus 700 down to minus 350 now. I believe the line is going to continue to fall. I think there's going to be a lot of people leaning on that experience of Burns, kind of overlooking the fact that he's on a 4-fight losing streak, kind of overlooking the fact that his chin is really not what it used to be. The spot that I like the most is the under 2.5. I think that we're going to see some skirmishes here, and I think it's ultimately going to be Malott's power that ends up landing on Burns and putting Burns away. So I like Malott here. I don't like the chalk on him. I think he'll end up landing a big shot to put Burns down, but I think the under 2.5 would probably be the best way to go in this matchup. I think Burns is going to incite many skirmishes. I think there's going to be a lot of pocket exchanges. I'd kind of be surprised if one guy goes for the grappling over the other. I think Burns will attempt to, but I don't think he'll get many dominant spots there. I think Malott is a good enough BJJ black belt to stay away from danger there, and I'd kind of be surprised if Malott is willing to engage with Burns on the ground. So I think this will primarily be a striking battle, and I think it's eventually going to be the Canadian that lands a big shot on Burns and puts him away. I just wouldn't take this level of chalk on him. Let's go with the under 2.5 instead.